roguish, and hopefully I can, fill his shoes. I got sneakers on, but that's okay. First order of business, if we could all rise and say pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Mayor Keel, could we have a roll call, please?
Town of Ashland, Ms. Barnhart. Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Charles City County, Mr. Patterson.
Present.
Mr. Atkins. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
Here.
Ms. Schneider. Here. Dr. Miller. Dr. Hilton. Goochland County, Mr. Lyle.
Present.
Mr. Vaughters. Hanover County, Mr. Davis. Ms. Pritchard. Mr. Hudson.
Mitch Huber online substituting for Wood Hudson from DRP2.
Thank you. Henrico County, Reverend Cooper. Chair Rogic, Jody Rogic, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Schmidt. New Kent County, Chair Moyer.
Here.
Ms. Stewart. Powhatan County, Mr. Kinney. Ms. Morissette. Mr. McClung. Mr. Powers. City of Richmond, Mr. Breton. Dr. Newbill.
Here.
Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. GRTC, Ms. Torres. Ms. Adams. RMTA, Ms. Dean. VDOT, Mr. Totten.
Here.
Mr. Riblett.
Here.
CTAC, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Walton. Department of Aviation, Mr. Smiley. DRPT, Ms. Dubinsky. Got it. FTA, Mr. Koenig. CBTA, Mr. Parsons. Federal Highway Administration, Mr. Ofori. Mr. Rucker. Ride Finders, Ms. Ruffin.
Here.
And Mr. O'Keefe. Okay, we're all set. We do have quorum.
Thank you. Yes, as Martha discussed with me earlier, we did take kind of a chance having a meeting in a holiday week. So I really appreciate everybody that did come out for the meeting. We have no members that are on Zoom, but we have somebody filling in for somebody.
Mr. Huber's filling in for Mr. Hudson
Mr.
from
Hudson, okay.
DRPT.
Okay, very good. So do we need to do the confirmation? Okay, we don't. Next is consideration of amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments? If not, okay. Next is our public comment period. Public comments are very much encouraged, very much, listened to by the board. And if there is anybody that has a public comment, would like to step to the podium there and make a comment, that's great. Anybody online that would like to make a comment? If not, I'll close the public comment period.
We didn't receive.
And no email. Oh, thank you very much. Next is our consent agenda, which is we can take each of those separately or we can approve them together.
Yes, the pleasure of the board is they can go together if like, or we can separate them out.
And are there any questions on any of these items? Just simply the meeting minutes from June 11th, the tip and conformity report, and the remote participation, which we've all agreed with before. Okay, I'll be listening for a
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Second, All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? None? Thank you. Next is, our Richmond planning, B, which, Dan Amato will take us through this. Draft safety action plan. We're gonna go to 0, right?
That's the plan.
That's always the goal.
Thank you, Chair Moyer. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to present the final draft of our Safe by Design, our transportation regional safety action plan, and to ask for its adoption as the region's guiding safety document. A quick framing before we dig into the plan. Safe by Design sits right at the top of the regional planning cycle. So identifying issues and solutions, and the adoption today would set the rest of the cycle in motion. So let's start with an orientation on where we are. The draft plan Safe by Design is finalized. It's been through stakeholder review. All edits are complete, and the technical advisory committee has recommended it for adoption by the policy board. So today is really about 3 things: a high-level summary of what's in the plan, a quick review of how it connects to a related safety messaging effort, and then a request for its adoption. A bit on the engagement behind this plan, because the end product did reflect a lot of public input. Our amazing amazing engagement team rather, and supporting staff as well, attended more than 30 events and engaged over 1,000 people face to face. The product page on our online engagement platform, engage.planrva.org, drew nearly 3,300 views, almost 1,700 unique visitors, and more than 8,000 individual contributions. And the last number on this chart, indicating project followers, shows that this is these aren't just passive page views. They're residents from across the region who care enough to create accounts and actually follow this plan. So with the long-term engagement in mind, we can get a better idea of what people experience on their roads and streets every day. And that input shaped this plan and will also inform future safety efforts. So here, this page shows why this work is so urgent. Since our last regional safety plan was adopted in March of 2022, 501 people have been killed on our region's roads. More than 3,737 people have suffered life-altering injuries. And according to preliminary data so far this year alone, through the end of June, we've seen 39 people killed, 316 people seriously injured, and over $968 million in economic costs to the region. And that is not counting the costs associated with more minor injuries, moderate injuries, or property damage. And also looking at the numbers from since March 2022, that would bring the economic cost to over $12 billion. But of course, behind all of these numbers, there is a person, a family, and a community, and our plan responds to this reality with a deliberate shift towards action-oriented short and medium-term solutions that help bolster our long-term plans. And it's fully aligned with the federal safe system approach and the Safe Streets and Roads for All program for future funding. One of the pillars of this plan is the regional high injury network. When we analyzed 5 years of crash data from 2020 to 2024, we found something striking. Just 1% of our region's roads account for 70% of the crashes that kill or seriously injure people. And These crashes are concentrated primarily on arterials, so the high speed, high volume, multi-lane roads that many of us travel on every day. But what this tells us is that while we do have a long way to go towards 0 deaths, we don't have to fix every road to make a meaningful difference. We can focus our efforts and resources where the most harm is happening. And that's the empirical foundation for everything that follows in this plan. So from that high injury network, we identified the priority safety corridors, which are named segments where the region can make the most meaningful near-term impact. These weren't chosen by the crash data alone. We also factored in crash hotspot analysis, the community identified concerns that we heard through the public engagement periods, and also multi-jurisdictional continuity. So that a corridor that crosses multiple municipal lines gets treated as one corridor and one issue rather than stopping at a boundary. So you see the corridors on the screen, but the exact limits for future road safety assessments, which I'll get more into later, will be refined through coordination with each respective locality. So this is just a starting point for possible examination and not any kind of mandate. So now I'll go through a bit more detail on how we act on this plan. So the plan itself lays out 6 actions, each with a corresponding task, and they build on one another within a logical sequence. So the first 3 are about building the foundation, getting the regional infrastructure into place. Action 1 is developing a regional street design manual, which would be a shared practitioner-facing resource tied to street typologies. And the region already has a foundation through Plan RVA's Complete Streets work and its Ashland pilot project that showed a regionally tailored design resource is both feasible and needed. This isn't meant to supersede any existing manual like VDOT's road design manual. Think of it more as a companion piece similar to NACTO's urban street design guide or federal highways rural design guide. So showing localities and communities how to apply proven safety treatments within the standards are already allowed. Action 2 is the road safety assessment program that I alluded to earlier, a structured, repeatable process for identifying dangerous conditions, pairing technical crash analysis with the community concerns we've heard. Action 3 is a regional quick build library, which would be a vetted menu of proven cost-effective treatments that localities can deploy without reinventing the wheel. So things like high visibility crosswalks, pedestrian refuge islands, flexible delineators, and productive barriers. Things that we know work that are packaged for regional use and can be developed in coordination with VDOT and localities that manage their own roadways. The next actions are about putting the tools to work and connecting them to the wider safety issues. Action 4 is implementing quick build projects, taking those treatments and installing them on corridors informed by the RSAs and supported by VDOT and our partner localities. These demonstration projects generate before and after safety data and build public and political confidence that we need to pursue larger capital investments. Action 5 is connecting this plan to a broader safety ecosystem so it doesn't operate in isolation. So there are complementary efforts like speed management, lighting, ADA transition planning, and post-crash care that need to link to what we're doing here in this plan. And this action acknowledges those gaps and advances future connections. And finally, Action 6 holds the region accountable through a safety dashboard. So a public, regularly updated platform tracking serious injury trends, quick build outcomes, and equity indicators. The goal is to keep this plan action oriented and an ongoing commitment with visible and public metrics. This plan itself is also paired with a companion messaging framework called Safer Together, which was completed in December of 2025. We know that while infrastructure might be the most direct way to save lives, design alone doesn't build a culture of care. So clear messaging goes a long way towards helping people understand and trust the changes happening on their streets. The strategy will be built upon 3 pillars: awareness, empathy, and action. And it targets the same priority behaviors that the plan design fixes address. The idea behind the safety messaging is to give the region one consistent voice that each locality can adapt further for its own audience. And the pilot campaign for this is set to launch this fall. So the Safer Together is the communication piece that allows us to help guide how we talk about transportation safety more cohesively as we pursue the actions that are outlined in Safe by Design. And you can read more about this companion piece on the engagement site. So to summarize where we are, the final draft is complete and incorporates all TAC and stakeholder feedback, documented in a comment response matrix that's available on the project page. Public engagement is fully documented and available in a companion report, also on the project page. And the plan has been designed to be grant competitive, which positions the region well to pursue federal, state, and private implementation funding down the road. And that brings me to the ask today. The Technical Advisory Committee recommends that the Policy Board adopt Safe by Design as the regional transportation safety action plan and a guiding planning document. A draft resolution of support is included as attachment D on page 21 of your agenda package for consideration. And with that, I'll open the floor to any discussion or questions. My contact information is here along with the project engagement page if you'd like to explore any part further.
Hey, any questions from the committee, from the policy board? I just have one that, and I'll get to, the map you showed, the red hotspots, is that available to us in the form of each of our counties?
Right now, it's just a
Those 2 maps I'd love to have.
yes. It's not by each locality. We can certainly break it out that way, but it's presented as the regional map. But it is in the
That idea that 1% of the regional roads or 70% of the accidents says that, I think that makes it understandable that we can do something about it.
yes. Quite.
Where, if it was the opposite, it was 70% of the roads with just 1% of the, the accidents, it'd be different, but that's great. Mr. Lau.
Thank you. On the screen, you have KA crashes. And I've been trying to turn that into words.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I could have clarified that. That's fatal or serious injury crashes. So
Sorry, yeah, fatal.
fatal or serious injury crashes.
So the K is killed
Yes.
and the A is,
There's a system that's A, B, C crashes, and so A
okay.
is just the most.
And then I was reading behind the Schneider, it says 38 and 315, and earlier we added somebody.
Yeah, so I wrote that earlier this week, and then I checked it yesterday, and unfortunately, there were a little bit higher.
And what is our year? I mean, is it through June 30th as a fiscal? So the 39 was through a 12-month period, or where did we start?
Good question. That is the calendar year, so since January 1st. And again, those are preliminary numbers, so they're subject to change a bit, but it gives a good.
In case somebody's dead, really isn't dead.
They don't go down.
Yeah.
They actually sometimes change up or down based on things like the police report updating, legal issues, medical updates. It's so it's not finalized, but it gives a general understanding.
And so when they're killed, I mean, I know Henrico is taking proactive steps because of pedestrian deaths. Are those included in this pedestrian, or are these all the cars?
Oh, all of the deaths and serious injury numbers are all people on the roadways, so including pedestrians, cyclists.
So,
Not
Cheers.
thanks.
But the red dots in that map don't indicate fatalities.
This indicates a combination of fatal and serious injuries. So we, for this analysis, we kind of bunched them together as the most severe crowd
Well,
deaths.
I think, I'm not trying to be critical here, but I think there should be a distinction between what is a fatality and what is a serious injury. And the reason for that is I'm looking at my district there and I know I didn't have that many fatalities in the Madoka district, but I get a quarterly report on everything. So when someone looks at that, if they don't understand what you're saying, they're going, oh my God, look at all the people that got killed in this report.
I see it.
And that's not the truth. The truth, it's a combination of both, and there should be a separate distinction. When we do our reporting, it gets reported separately. So that we do know exactly where the fatalities were. We had one of the things that we've discussed in Chesterfield, for example, is improving lighting on the Lothian Turnpike in Hull Street, where we have high traffic volumes and people trying to cross the road that keep getting, unfortunately, getting run over. And so we're trying to do everything we can to fix that, but this doesn't, in that map, I was just John Q. Citizen looking at it like, oh my God, look at all the people that get killed. So it really needs to be, in my opinion, separated.
I understand. Yes, yes, Mr. Parrish.
Are train accidents included in this as well?
Yeah, all crashes that occur on public roadways are included, including train fatalities and serious injuries.
Is that a crossing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it occurred in a train right away, like in the middle of the woods, it wouldn't necessarily be included.
Mr. Rogish.
Mr. Chair, big question for the two localities, yourself and maybe the city, but 37% of death result of speeding. I'm curious if the speed cameras, truthfully, if we have any data on the speed cameras, either, I know you have them on. I know the city of Richmond has them in school zones. I'm curious if we have any data at this point. If those are.
What we have seen with the speed cameras on 64 is not necessarily the number of accidents have gone down, the number of multi-car accidents have gone down with the speed. We had an example the weekend of Memorial Day weekend when there were no speed cameras up. It was all 70 mile an hour. We had multiple car accidents at that higher speed. 60, it seems that you're able to control the situation a little bit better. So, and the one thing we're a county of also roundabouts, and what we've seen is a whole lot of less serious injuries in roundabouts.
We've seen the same.
We see almost the same amount of accidents, but nobody's going faster than a problem, so those are great safety things that we've seen that has worked for us. But thank you for the question, Mr. Rogish. Anybody else have any?
Mr. Chair, if I might
Yeah,
add.
yes, sure.
For me, one of the touch points that, when you're using lagging data, it's always, you're always sort of behind the curve. This is a great tool that, I'm sitting here sending a message to my team that this is a great touch point for us. What is not always represented when we use lagging data is what's already in process. Whether it's the PED projects that Henrico County has under development on Broad Street, for instance, that will address some of those issues. There's a place where we're sort of working with the localities, able to take this type of an approach, understanding this is a regional aspirational goal and approach, and connect it to work that we have ongoing. In Mr. Carroll's neighborhood, we have a couple of projects ongoing on Hull Street where there's a high propensity for crashes. But this is my message to my team is that this is a great place for the planning team at the district to be working with localities and our residencies who are responding to those incidents on a daily basis to make sure that as we're mapping out projects and future opportunities that this is getting taken into consideration. But the challenge is always, there's many things in process, in motion through things like Smart Scale or the HSIP program, that it's always difficult to make sure that we're using lagging data to lead to a better future performance. But what is difficult to overlay is here are the things that are ongoing. They're under development, maybe they're funded, maybe there's a study already ongoing, and connecting all those. So one of the things for my folks are, this is a great opportunity to take this effort and then connect it with all the other things we have going on. Cause I know, I mean, one of those roads I drive every day, Western Powhatan every day. And I know there's things underway, things ongoing that will be able to impact that, the high crash network, but it's not surprising that that's where the fatalities and serious crashes are. And I think it's just an indication where there's concept of what this group is all about is regional partnership, connecting the planning with work that your teams are doing in the localities and what folks in our district office are working on to kind of make sure that as we're making investments, they're all connected towards these similar goals. So anyway, just share that for everybody sort of goals.
And things change. We have right now, most people before 64's widening didn't know where New Kent Highway was. Now everybody knows that's the other way of getting to the river and that. And so that looks like that's a very bad road. Well, it won't be in 2 years because everybody will be on 64. But I understand the lagging, can be a situation where you've already have the permits going forward, but they're not done yet. But anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I defer to my colleague from Henry.
Well, I just have one last comment that I really like about this is on the quick build. There are places where maybe 500 feet of sidewalk can make a huge difference. And I know in a couple meetings ago, we approved a large amount of money for, a sidewalk on Midlothian Turnpike. And that's great, but there are some places where we can do these quick builds and make a huge difference in safety. And I think we've been successful with that in Henrico, 500 feet, et cetera. And so I'm glad to see that in this plan. So I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, we'll be looking at these areas right here, and looking to see if there's anything that just the county can do, the signage or something. But thank you, Mr. Lyle.
Yeah, one, I have a board meeting on the 7th, and I'd love to be able to share this. Will this be updated or maybe tweak to show accidents versus deaths, or just, I can work with this. I don't want to mess up your weekend.
No. We will share this presentation, but we also have a more interactive map online that I can share with you.
All right,
that
good.
will show the difference between the different.
And then in speaking with Officer Goin on PAC, he was looking through his notes. Is 107 the number that we're targeting? Is that the same? I was going through and we're adopting this, but what's our bogey?
So that's a unrelated but related safety target that's attached to like the 5-year rolling averages. So it's separate numbers from like these specific annual numbers. So that is our goal of 107.
Or less.
Yeah, is what we have adopted, but this is kind of a separate plan that will just kind of hopefully bring the deaths and serious injuries down over the long term as well. So not a great answer, but this relates to that goal, but it's not. It's two separate things.
Oh, okay. So on December 31st, if we're at, I'm gonna round up and say 80.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll be below the 107, which would be half of what we've seen the first 6 months. I'm kind of geeky metrics. How will we measure?
Yeah, that will tie into the 5-year rolling average. So it would bring down the number for the next time we're looking at the safety targets, but
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
more of a long term.
I don't want to
Yeah,
prolong.
just one last question, and
Okay.
I don't want to belabor this because I think we get rid of the vote here, but in looking at the automated, looking at the engagement report, right? And we didn't show all of that, but gracious enough to give us a QR code, and if you did, then I'm gonna read it. So unfortunately, you put it in there. Under automated enforcement in that, there are sections, there are some things that are highlighted in red, some things that are highlighted in green. One of them that's highlighted in red for Chesterfield says automated school zones 3.82 in red. And then it says automated any road 3.19 in green. So what is the difference? If someone was to look at this report, how would you tell them what the 3.82 means in red for automated school zones? Does that mean that people were unfavorable for traffic cameras and school zones? So that means,
Let me pull this up so we can. That yeah, that shows the favorability based on our survey data. Just so I have it on the screen so everybody has an idea. Just so I understand as well.
I think you went by it.
I'm on page 15, 14.
There. I think it's page 14, with the top graph.
This is the one you're referring to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in?
Yes, I.
Thanks.
So right there, where it says automated school zones, which we have put a lot in Chesterfield County. You know, the reference says there's 3.82. What does the red indicate?
Oh, the red is, so we did separate them by locality, and these are the localities that had enough responses to show the data well, but the red is just the lowest response we got, which locality had the lowest response.
It's the lowest response and the green is the highest response.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that people responded and said, I hate automated school zones and I don't want cameras. It's just.
Yes, and I mean, the 3.82 is still high. That happens to be the lowest out of, that's still favorable. It's we're just trying to indicate which had the highest.
I'll make sure I understood it right.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
All right, I'm sorry, now that you've opened this can of worms, I mean, Goochland's all red or green. I mean, so, I mean, we don't have any, we're either red or green on, if I'm reading that column
It's
correct.
across the rows, so he's just marked what the highest.
It's left to right.
per row
Okay, thank you.
is per row. It just so happens you're a high and a low in every category.
Yeah, I don't even have dyslexia, but I still can figure it out.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I'd like to move to approve. this.
Oh, okay, there's a motion. So, Ms. Snyder has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, Mr. Patterson. All those in favor, it's a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Next is regional funding, Smart Scale Round 7 endorsements. Mr. Bushing.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Morning.
PowerPoint is slow right this second, but I can just walk us through this verbally if that's all right with everyone. So this item is endorsements for the Smart Scale Round 7 applications. So Smart Scale, as you all know, is related to funding of projects. So if you're thinking through that planning cycle, we've identified issues, prioritized solutions. Now we're seeking funding to actually implement those solutions. So this is the funding phase of that process. Smart Scale, I'm sure you've heard presentations at your locality already, but it's the premier competitive process for funding transportation in the Commonwealth. It's really two separate competitions with one call for projects. So there's a competition called the District Grant Program, which is for all the localities, and we compete within the construction district, so within the Richmond district. And then there is the High Priority Projects Program, which is a statewide competition. It's only for projects on certain corridors, primarily like arterial roadways. And that's open to the MPO, to the PDCs, and also to transit operators, in addition to locality projects that qualify. And what we're required to do every cycle is to submit projects, and they're screened for consistency with the region's long-range transportation plan. The requirements of the Smart Scale program are that if a project is not listed in the constrained plan and not consistent with the region's plan, that the MPO provide a resolution of endorsement. To be safe and make sure that we're covering all our bases across the board, we have historically endorsed all the applications just to make sure that none of them fall through the cracks. So that's what the item before you today is a resolution to endorse all of the pre-applications that have been submitted by our localities, transit operators, and then the MPO and PDC. So those can move forward. The second part of what we're asking for today would also basically authorize the RRTPO staff, our Plan RVA staff, to submit the applications that are the RRTPO's applications for this round, which you've previously reviewed and approved through the pre-application cycle. One set of revisions that we have from what is in the agenda packet on the draft resolution. There are 3 projects that we've identified that between the pre-application submission and now gearing up for the full application have changed the name to better reflect the scope of the project. So we are proposing that staff will update those names in the approved resolution, assuming that is included in the motion. One of those is a GRTC project for the North-South BRT. It's just clarifying the extent that it's not just to downtown, that it's actually continuing further north. And then there are 2 projects in Chesterfield County that are being submitted by Plan RVA. They were basically labeled phase 1 and phase 2 with the same extents, and the clarification is to actually delineate where that split is between phase 1 and phase 2. It's a Route 10 project. So those 3 revisions will be updated, and I'm going to see one last time if I can get those pulled up for you. But if not, the request for action today is for the board to approve the draft resolution of approval subject to those 3 changes. And again, that would also authorize us to move forward with the final applications for the projects you've previously seen for the MPO. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Miles, can you send it to Sid and he can pull it up for you?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what I would say is this is a great list. It's a great regional list
Yes.
that I hope that we will be competitive in this next round of Smart Scale with. I think that there's a lot of funds that we've been able to match towards these projects. And
We have
make a motion to approve and authorize staff to make the amendments.
we have a motion. We have a second.
Yes.
Any other question? Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Mr. Bushing. Next is our critical urban freight corridor designation. Alan? Alan? There he is.
Good morning, Chair Moyer and policy board members. I will be discussing the critical urban freight corridor designation. So the FAST Act establishes the National Highway Freight Network, which includes the primary highway freight system. These are the most critical pieces of the interstate highway system with respect to national freight movement and logistics, and the non-primary highway freight system interstate portions to bolster the American supply chains. Under the FAST Act, designating critical rural freight corridors remains the explicit responsibility of the state in close consultation with the regional MPOs. Conversely, critical urban freight corridors utilizes a split governance structure. Large MPOs of 500,000 or more residents leads their own selections, while the state designates remaining urban corridors collaboratively. This ensures localized infrastructure perfectly aligns with the broader national freight initiative. So designating critical urban freight corridors and critical rural freight corridors is entirely voluntary. Within Virginia, the National Highway Freight Program funds are allocated to specific projects selected via Smart Scale and other established programs. Importantly, the critical urban freight corridor and critical rural freight corridor designations do not impact project eligibility for these funding mechanisms. Rather, the fundamental purpose of securing these corridor designations is to gain more programmatic flexibility. This approach allows the region to maximize strategic options without altering traditional prioritization pipelines. This ensures that federal resources can be deployed across the Commonwealth's entire freight network. So Virginia formally updated and expanded its designated critical urban freight corridors and critical rural freight corridors as a part of the 2022 V-Trans-State Freight Plan update. To execute the critical urban freight corridor expansions, the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investments actively collaborated with three key regions throughout the state: Richmond, Hampton Roads, and Northern Virginia, ensuring a continuous and logical urban transportation network. Concurrently, for the rural networks, OIP directly identified a cohesive network of critical rural freight corridors to guarantee statewide connectivity. This establishes a unified corridor framework across both urban and rural environments. So the bipartisan infrastructure law increased maximum mileage limits for Virginia, raising the cap for critical rural freight corridors to 300 miles and critical urban freight corridors to 150 miles. Currently, the state retains substantial unallocated segments, leaving about 98 critical urban freight corridor miles and about 146 critical rural freight miles available for strategic deployment. Utilizing this expanded capacity, OIP has proposed extending the current freight corridor destination along roughly 12 miles of Interstate 295. As illustrated on the regional map, this proposed red expansion line runs directly through the Richmond Region Transportation Planning Organization boundary, maximizing continuity with existing networks. So as you can see, this is our freight intensive areas by TASIS. So basically, we have a lot of freight activity around 295 that justifies the expansion. In terms of truck traffic or traffic generally, we have about 43,000 cars on this road. About 23% of this is freight trucks. We also see freight intensive activity, including the RIC Airport, Meadowville Technology Park, Richmond UPS Hub, and Amazon Fulfillment Center. So for today, the recommended action is the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization Policy Board approves and certifies the changes to the designation of the I-295 corridor extension as critical urban freight corridor as described in the attached materials. The attached materials will be item C2 in the agenda packet.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Allen? Okay. There's no question. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Second. No more questions. We'll have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any? Okay. Motion passed. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Next is fiscal year 27, fiscal year 30 TIP amendment, the Upper Magnolia West Area Arterial Collector. We have Mr. Bushing going to be doing this.
Guys, thank you again, Mr. Chair, and I have passed over the PowerPoint to Sid, so she has.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
So this is related to the authorized project phase. So the Upper Magnolia West Area Arterial Collector has been received as a requested TIP amendment from VDOT. So we are moving into, you can go to the next slide, to the authorized project phase. So we've got funding for this project. We're ready to get it started and move forward with that authorization. Next slide. So a little bit of background. In the past, the Richmond region did not meet the national air quality standards for ozone. So the localities that you can see in yellow are included in what's considered the transportation conformity area. This is basically areas where before we amend the TIP or the LRTP, we have to demonstrate that we're following the requirements of the Clean Air Act. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. These is the 1997 standard. So we're considered orphan maintenance, which basically means that some of the requirements for modeling and the complexity that we would have done in the past for anyone who's been on this board are no longer required. So it's a much more abbreviated process now. Moving forward. Next slide. So what is the project? This project is a request to add the Upper Magnolia West Area Arterial Collector to the TIP. So the map that you see here is from the Powhite extension sort of overall plan. So the gray roads are other roadways that are included. The red roadway is the Powhite extension that's planned. This corridor is the section that's in red with white in the middle of it. So basically this is a 2-lane concept. So the ultimate Powhite extension is a 4-lane concept. This is a 2-lane concept that will build in that right of way. So it's a sort of first step And this is really an economic development oriented project. This is providing access to the industrial area. And Sid, if you want to go to the next slide. And this is really demonstrated through the funding that is available on this project. So Chesterfield County is putting money on the project. Virginia Business Ready Site program funds are on here. And then TPOF, which is sort of governor directed, CTV awarded funds for economic development access as well. So this is all about getting access to this site for that economic development area. This has been identified as one of the largest sites available in the Commonwealth and the largest within a major metropolitan area. So this is a huge priority for both the Commonwealth as well as the region. And this total project is about $101 million. And again, this is a phase of the overall POET extension. Next slide. So what are we doing here? This is a little bit different from our usual tip amendments. We are going to be going through the conformity process with this before we process the tip amendment. There is a conformity review kicking off in August for Tri-Cities as they are wrapping up their long-range plan. We already have the POET extension included in there, but out of an abundance of caution, VDOT's Environmental has requested that we add this project separately to the project list for conformity. So we are asking the board today to add this project to the list so that we can go through the conformity process again. You just approved one round of conformity. This would restart that process. It'll go through a public review in August and September, and then come back to the board for full adoption along with approval of the final approval of the tip amendment. So next slide. So the requested action has two parts. The first is to approve the addition of the Upper Magnolia West Area Arterial Collector to the conformity project list, basically demonstrating the board's intent to amend the tip to add that. And then secondly, to authorize the TAC to review and authorize public review of the draft conformity assessment. This happens every cycle with conformity, just in terms of the meetings and the staggering. TAC opens up the public review and then we bring it back to the policy board for final approval. So there's a draft resolution included in your agenda packets. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Do we have any questions? Mr. Bush, yes.
One question. You mentioned the TPOF. Has that already been approved as well?
I believe that was back in January by the CTV.
Of last year.
That's good.
Thanks.
Anything else? Do you have a motion?
I know you find it shocking, but I'll make a motion to approve, really.
Does this have anything to do with Chesterfield? Yeah.
No.
They never gonna do my
Or
district.
Mattoa District.
Well, considering it's his district, okay.
Second, I'll second.
And Mr. Roby second, very good.
Chair, just speak to the motion.
Yeah, you can speak to the motion.
You know, for years, the Poet Parker extension has been on the county's long-term transportation plan. So probably 35 years, going back, I think even in their late 80s. We've seen substantial growth in the western part of Hull Street throughout the years with multiple big developments that have come out of the ground, Mag Green, Hawkworth Mill, and others. And although this section of this indicates that it's certainly for us to be developed, you know, a technology center in the western part of Chesterfield, it also will be a major reliever for traffic congestion in the western part of Hull Street, which is why we're pushing very hard overall to get the project done. You know, we've actually, I think you all may remember, we did a bond issuance in Chesterfield using CVTA dollars to actually fund the first section of this from Charter County, which is in Jessica's district from Charter County to Woolwich Road. So it's a long-term priority for Chesterfield. And so I appreciate everybody's consideration on this.
You spoke to the motion, we have a second,
Yes.
and all we need is a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck. Next, resolutions for recognition. Ms. Schickel, you want to do one and I'll do the other one?
Yes, please.
Okay, go for it.
Well, shall I just read it? Is that-
We have time.
I don't do this online.
Okay, why don't you, have them come up here then?
It's my pleasure to ask Ken Lance if he would mind coming up to the front to join me, or do you want me to come back there? I'll go.
Have me halfway or something.
Okay. Ken is back with us in actual retirement. He officially retired from Plan RVA on June 30th, but he graciously gave up The second day of freedom.
To get up early and come and be with us, but we're really grateful for that, and I will read the resolution. Whereas Kenneth Eugene Lance, Jr., PE, has devoted more than 40 years to public service in the Commonwealth of Virginia through increasingly responsible management and transportation planning positions in state government. And whereas Ken E. Lance Jr. earned a Bachelor of Science from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University and a Master of Science from University of Virginia School of Engineering and Applied Science. And whereas throughout his career with the Virginia Department of Highways and Transportation and the Virginia Department of Transportation, Ken Lance served in a range of leadership roles, including Associate Transportation Planning Engineer, Urban Programs Engineer, Assistant Programming and Scheduling Engineer, State Transportation Planning Engineer, and Senior Research Scientist. And whereas in those roles, Ken Lance contributed to long-range transportation planning, project programming, research, traffic operations, bicycle and pedestrian initiatives, and the effective stewardship of federal and state transportation resources across the Commonwealth. And whereas Ken Lance has also advanced transportation policy and practice through research, technical assistance, public engagement, and published work addressing traffic operations, safety, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, and transportation services for older adults and persons with disabilities. And whereas following his state service, Ken Lance continued his record of leadership and community serving roles, including as church administrator for River Road Church Baptist and as transportation services manager for Quinn Rivers Community Action Agency. And whereas as mobility manager for Senior Connections since 2012, Ken Lance worked to improve mobility in the Richmond region by coordinating transportation resources, promoting access for older adults, persons with disabilities, and low-income residents, and helping connect travelers to the most appropriate and cost-effective transportation services. And whereas Ken Lance served Plan RVA with distinction for more than 10 years, during which time he contributed his expertise, professionalism, and steadfast commitment to advancing regional transportation planning and mobility initiatives. And whereas while employed with Plan RVA, Ken Lance was also a dedicated member of the Community Technical Advisory Committee, where he provided valuable technical insight, thoughtful leadership, and consistent support for regional collaboration and sound transportation decision-making. And whereas Ken Lance has provided regional leadership and advocacy through service as chair of the Elderly and Disabled Advisory Committee of Richmond Metropolitan Planning Organization, and through his professional involvement with the Community Transportation Association of Virginia and the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And whereas Ken Lance has demonstrated a long-standing commitment to improving coordination, accessibility, and efficiency in transportation services, thereby strengthening mobility and quality of life for residents of the Richmond region and the Commonwealth of Virginia. And whereas Ken Lance's professional experience, engineering expertise, and dedication to public service reflect the values of regional collaboration and thoughtful transportation planning. And whereas the Richmond Regional Planning District Commission desires to recognize Ken Lance for distinguished career and his many contributions to the transportation planning, mobility management, and public service. And now, finally, therefore it be it resolved that the members of the RRTPO and Plan RVA do hereby express their sincere appreciation to Ken Eugene Lance Jr., PE, for his dedicated service and many contributions to transportation planning and mobility in the Richmond region and throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Be it further resolved that Plan RVA and RRTPO extend its best wishes to Ken Lance for continued success and fulfillment in all future endeavors. On motion made duly and seconded by the members of the TPO Policy Board, voted unanimously to adopt this resolution, we hope.
That's going to be after the fact.
So moved.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Any words?
Well, I've been at this for over 50 years, so Mark Ribbon back there in the back a while ago. And you did put in here, I actually counted cars for VDOT at one point in the summer. So not only did I work in the central office in the summertime, I counted cars for VDOT back in the day. But it's been a interesting and long career for me. Very passionate about transportation. It's where I've put in my life's work. You know, and I hope that I can continue to be an advocate in the area because, I have a young adult daughter with a disability who relies on public transportation to get around. I'm a senior myself, you know, so I want to continue to, you know, maintain my mobility. So I hope that I can continue to be an advocate for transportation going forward.
So I'd like to see your picture on there, on the screen that you're watching us, you know, so that's really good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Riblet, could you come up here, please?
Mr. Chair. Yes, Tim. We have a motion on the floor in a second. I think we need to vote on it.
Oh, okay, very good. All
I did
those,
the motion, he does.
okay, you got that down.
Yes.
All those in
Make it
favor?
official.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Riblet, can you come up here? I've got something to read for you. Good to see you. I don't know if we do this or whatever. Okay. This is a resolution from the TPO, whereas Mark Riblet, PE is retiring after more than 40 years of distinguished public service in transportation and public infrastructure. And whereas Mark began the transportation career following his graduation from the University of Delaware in 1984 and has since served the public through positions with Delaware Department of Transportation, the Virginia Department of Aviation, Chesterfield County Transportation Department, and the Virginia Department of Transportation. And whereas after a brief period with the Virginia Department of Aviation, Mark began a 15-year tenure with Chesterfield County Transportation Department, where he played a critical role in growing county transportation programs and contributions to major projects, including the Poway Parkway extension, State Route 288, and numerous other transportation improvements. And whereas in 1999, Mark joined the Virginia Department of Transportation as Assistant Residency Administrator for Land Development and Permits in the Chesterfield Residency, where he advanced coordination with the development community during a period of significant growth in Chesterfield and Powhatan counties, and pioneered the use of performance data to track timelessness and responsiveness to customer submittals. And whereas in 2002, Mark became the first district transportation planning engineer in VDOT's Richmond district, where he built the district planning team, strengthened collaboration with local governments and regional planning partners, and helped implement important corridor studies, including the Route 711 corridor study in Chesterfield and Powhatan counties, following the opening of the State Route 288. And whereas in 2008, Mark was promoted to Assistant District Administrator for Planning and Investment Management for VDOT's Richmond District, where he led the planning programming and land development functions for the district and served as chair of the statewide planning and investment management working group from 2011 to 2015. And whereas in 2016, Mark assumed additional responsibilities as Assistant District Administrator for Planning, Investment Management, and Project Development, overseeing complex district-wide planning and project development functions, and leading approximately 80 staff in support of transportation and investments in major project development. Whereas through his career, Mark built and sustained strong professional relationships with local governments, community leaders, regional planning organizations, elected officials, and agency partners, and became widely recognized for his customer-focused and collaborative plan path to yes approach. Whereas Mark has also served the Commonwealth through additional leadership roles, including his appointment by Governor Ralph Northam to the Virginia Motor Vehicle Dealer Board in 2021 and 2022. And whereas Mark's service and excellence have been recognized through numerous honors, including 2 VDOT Commissioners Awards and the Virginia Governor's Award for Teamwork. And he has been a duly licensed professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Virginia since 1995. And whereas Mark has been a dedicated member of the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization Policy Board, contributing his expertise, judgment, and commitment to regional collaboration in support of transportation planning and decision-making for the Richmond region. And whereas the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization desires to recognize Mark for his distinguished career and his many contributions to the transportation planning, project development, public service, and regional leadership. And now, therefore, it be resolved that the members of the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization do hereby express their sincere appreciation to Mark Riplett for his dedicated service and many contributions to transportation planning, project development, and public service to the Richmond region and throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. Be it further resolved that the Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization extends its best wishes to Mark Riplett for continued success and fulfillment in all future endeavors. On motion duly made and second, the members of the TPO Policy Board will vote unanimously to adopt this resolution. Date July 2nd. Congratulations. Thank you. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you. We have a second? We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you and get well.
I will definitely do.
Thank you very much, everybody. Next is, those are, I'm not thrilled about reading out loud, as you probably noticed, but, that's something I don't mind doing in that kind of situation. I'm sure you agree, Ms. Schickel. Committee updates, we have, Mr. Dixon.
There's not.
He's not available. Okay, thank you very much. Next, we'll go through the agency updates. First federal, Mr. Rucker.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to thank the board for taking action on the approval of the critical urban freight corridors for the region. The Commonwealth of Virginia had submitted their statewide freight plan and freight investment program about a week and a half ago. It's currently under review by multiple agencies under USDOT umbrella. Probably take about a month and a half to complete that review, but certainly your certification of the destination of critical urban freight corridors for the region assist us in expediting that approval. So thank you very much. We look forward to receiving the resolution, and following resolution, you'll receive a letter from our office. It's already drafted and ready to be signed once we get the signed resolution. I appreciate it. We also appreciate the action of with respect to the conformity report. I think I shared with staff earlier this week that EPA indicated to us they will complete their review of the conformity assessment by this week. Once we see that report from EPA, next week we anticipate we'll draft up a letter approving the conformity assessment, formally approving the conformity assessment, including the fiscal constraint determination, to send that to your staff. At that point, we assume we took as well as 2050 to be that to be the effective date. So thank you very much for taking action on that. With respect to the certification report, we had anticipated getting that report out under the leadership of former Chair Bogish, Mr. Moyer. We will get that report out. Our last discussion, the report is complete. FTA is going through a few final edits. We are the lead agency this round. We anticipate that draft report to be circulated to staff within the next week for review. And then following that, we'll finalize it. We do anticipate, I anticipate at the next meeting, that FTA will be able to present the findings to this board. So thank you very much.
We'll hold you that. Absolutely. Okay. I appreciate all that updates, and we appreciate all the work that's gone into doing that to get that kind of recognition. Next, Mr. Totten with VDOT.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. in light of Mark's retirement, it's a good news, bad news story for me. I've known Mark since 1993 when we both took a class to prepare for the professional engineers exam. I had the good fortune of following in his footsteps when I came to the department in July of 2003. And now I get to try and backfill his very large shoes as he leaves the agency. It's a good news, bad news story today. So I'll cover the good news first and end with the bad news. So I need to say and express a big regional thanks. So I think we've talked about it at this group before. About 18 months ago, VDOT as an agency adopted a portfolio strategy to delivering our construction program. Essentially, the charge from the commissioner to each of the 9 districts was to achieve a targeted financial commitment for projects reaching advertisement. That target across the state that was established in late 2004 was to deliver $2.45 billion in construction value of work to advertisement. And that period ended June 30th, 2 days ago. So I'm really happy to report that as a Commonwealth, we exceeded that target and delivered about $2.5 billion. And here's where the good news for the partnership here that goes on in the Richmond district is meritorious of this mention. Our target across those 2 fiscal years as a district was about $525 million. I'm really happy and it's my privilege to report that as a district, working with all of our partner entities, our localities, we were able to deliver just north of $675 million in project advertisements over these 2 years. You know, there's an old saying about a straw stirring a drink, and I think I can say it with a lot of pride that the work that this district and this region does for the Commonwealth, that we are effectively the straw stirring the statewide drink. This Commonwealth success is eminently tied to our success in this district. That took a lot of partnership. I have to thank all of our local government partners who really stepped up to a challenge in the last 3, 4, 5 months to deliver a list of projects to advertisement. Chief among them, with great collaboration and partnership with the Henrico County DPW staff and the City of Richmond staff. They had a lion's share of those projects and everybody worked like the dickens to get those out to advertisements. We're very fortunate to get that out. And as an expression of thanks, we sent a little thank you package to the city yesterday, I believe, or this morning. When Mark and I leave here today, we are going to go to the Henrico County Public Works office and deliver some pizzas to them for as a thank you. But I think it's really emblematic of the work that goes on in this board, that goes on over on the CVTA board, with a really strong emphasis on regional partnership and collaboration. And I just say thank you for that. The bad news I have to share with you guys today, and it's not related to Mark's retirement, is we often talk about roadway safety. Earlier today, we talked about that as a regional planning effort here. Yesterday afternoon, we had probably one of the worst days in recent memory for VDOT, and you may have heard. We had a VDOT employee out of our Hampton Roads district struck. We had 2 employees impacted by a work zone crash yesterday afternoon on 460. One of those employees succumbed to his injuries. The other is in recovery mode at this point in time. So I just share that as a reminder that the work we do is critical on many fronts. It's critical to get folks to and from their destination, but it's also important for us that all of our employees go home at the end of the day. Yesterday was a tough day. We have some tough days ahead of us as an agency, but we'll go through. I just share that for awareness. You know, if I encourage you, if you're ever on I-64 up on Afton Mountain and you're coming eastbound, take a pause, pull over.
Okay.
There's a thing called the VDOT Workers Memorial that was funded by VDOT employees to acknowledge those that passed away in service. So I encourage you to pull over, think about that as you're going through there. Lots of support is headed to Hampton Roads right now. It will be a tough couple weeks. So great news in the regional partnership, challenging news on the work zone front. There are many other items highlighted in that report, but I thought those two items were worthy of your consideration this morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Tucker, you entertain a question?
Sure.
You know, years ago, when I was a brand new police officer, we had construction projects that were being done. It was required for the police department to provide an officer in uniform with lights on as a safety measure. And there are many transportation projects that I see that don't have law enforcement there. And I should really know the answer to this question, but I don't. So I don't know if something changed in state law that doesn't require it. Perhaps it's something we need to go back and look at for that requirement. And then it also is part of these transportation projects when they're quoted is incorporated in that the expense of what it would be to pay for public safety, to provide safety. And it's really not just for it's for the community at large as well, but it's also for the workers.
So the first part, it is not a requirement of every work zone to have that. There are certain types of work zones depending upon the roadway and the type of work where it is recommended. This particular work zone in question was a maintenance operation with VDOT employees. We do occasionally have law enforcement support of those, but that's an infrequent practice. With regard to the funding of that, yes, when we know we will be using law enforcement support, we do incorporate that into certainly our cost projections, so we can account for that and utilize that. Great example is on our resurfacing projects on the interstate system, where we do a lot of it. We use that law enforcement. That's included in our cost projections and the estimate for that project. So it is a place where yes, we do use them. They are not a requirement, and certainly there is a benefit to having them there, without a doubt.
I just think perhaps something we need to revisit again. We know that there's a lot of, even now, repaving going on in Chester County, and they're doing a lot of it at night.
Yep.
And it's, I know that we're not providing any support in relation to public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wrote down that I'll be talking to our sheriff and talking to Philip Fraser, our residency, that there should be communication about that. That, it pops up sometimes, and we have some hills out there,
Sure.
and so
Sure.
all of a sudden this goes to one lane. So
And sometimes, I'm sorry to
no
step
problem.
in. Many times, it doesn't have to be anything formal. Many times, if there's a sheriff's deputy or local law enforcement that just can be visible, even for part of the day, part of the work zone, it does contribute to changing that behavior. And in a lot of cases, we do it very informally, where maybe there's the ability of a local law enforcement to participate, or state trooper. Sometimes it is formally, sometimes it is informally, and we work with those folks to try and get them positioned correctly in the work zone. So certainly, sheriff can talk with Philip and find ways to enhance that opportunity, which I know we do in Chesterfield County as well. We have a lot of involvement with them with the resurfacing schedule, particularly on our high volume corridors, where they help us manage when we're working around signals in particular.
So I'm sorry for your loss and our loss, and hopefully that we won't hear something like that for a long time, if ever. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
to Mr. Carroll's point, I think it would be good if we would take a look at this as an opportunity to talk about how to increase safety across the region. I mean, this kind of work that's going on. We just got through talking about the safety plan early on, those kinds of things.
We should look at, what is the adverse possibilities that could occur because doing that.
And what we can do.
And what can we do to help? Very good. Thank you, Dr. Newville. Next, we have Mr. Huber here for DRPT. Is he still on?
Yes, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Very good. You're ready to go?
Great. Nothing too new for us for the month of July. I'm sure most of you are aware the CTB approved the 27 to 32 SIP at their June 17th meeting. The newest version of that is available on our open data portal if you want to peruse. The state rail plan is still ongoing. Our next public meeting will be this month. More details coming soon, so please be on the lookout for those announcements. Another reminder to our MPOs to send their UPWPs directly to FTA at their email for approval. And that's pretty much it for us. Anyone have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Huber. I'll just elaborate that I do receive the email every morning with all the articles that have been written about transportation in Virginia. And some of them are very poignant to our area and to our transportation needs. So I would suggest everybody look at that. So thank you, Mr. Huber. And next, GRTC, Ms. Torres.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I have just two topic announcements. One is the first one, our Transit Access Partnership Day. I've mentioned this before and continue to mention it until it actually happens. But July 14th, this is our basically celebrating transit in the region for what it is today, as well as kind of celebrating what's to come. And so this is at Main Street Station. It'll be from 4:30 to 7:30. We've had a lot of great community support. Local artists are creating an exhibit that will also be auctioned off. We have a local tap group that just saw alignment with the name and is excited to be part of the event. We have a bus that we have decommissioned that we've also worked with the local art community where they have designed the outside of it with kind of graffiti art. So we'll be bringing that to the event. We have a silent auction where we have had donations in kind from various jurisdictions. We're excited that have given City, Chesterfield, Henrico, and some others. That will be a silent auction that will open about 5 days before the event. So if everyone could please attend just to celebrate, it is going to support, like I said, what we currently have for open access transit, which ultimately is zero fare, but it is designed to kind of look like our future transit hub. So we'll have the renderings up and the setup is designed to kind of flow where you can learn about transit in the region as well as look at all of the art. So again, that's July 14th from 4:30 to 7:30 at Main Street Station. And the second thing is that we had a great core design workshop here at the beginning of the month of June. It's a 3-day session. We had 8 of the 9 jurisdictions present. We ended up creating 3 different kind of transit ridership concepts. I should say coverage and ridership. One of them took the kind of current transit funding scenario where we're looking 5 years out. We know that sustainability of some of the funds, that there will eventually be a gap. So looking at the regional needs and coming up with a scenario that considers those, but also considers kind of the funding constraints. Sure. There's 2 versions of that. And then there was a third one, which I find more exciting, which is assuming more of an unconstrained scenario, assuming we're able to identify some additional funds and taking all the needs of the 8 jurisdictions and coming up with a growth scenario. So we'll be digitizing those, I think I mentioned that before, and being able to provide them to everyone. We also plan to come back to this board in September, I think of what we slated, where once we'll start doing kind of a public engagement this summer, and then coming back to this board to kind of do a more in-depth engagement and education piece to talk about those concepts. And the goal is to come up with one kind of concept that is supported for this region that will feed into our FY28 and beyond regional public transportation plan. The study is funded, matched with the RRTPO funds. So it's a regional and effort to really get at what the transit needs are for this region. Just we haven't done it since CBTA has kind of been in place, from kind of really taking a step back with all the jurisdictions, looking at the rural study, microtransit, and putting them kind of all in place to see what this region needs to really kind of thrive from a transit perspective. So that is to come.
Thank you very much, Ms. Torres. Any questions for? Okay. Next we'll go to Plan RVA, Ms. Schickel.
Thank you. Picking up where Ms. Torres just left off, Plan RVA was a recipient of a DRPT sponsored merit grant this past fiscal year, and we closed that out on Tuesday. The project was a partnership with GRTC and our other transit support operators around the region to examine the financial sustainability of transit service in our region, kind of across different types of service. Recognizing that GRTC is the sort of largest provider of that service in the region, we have pretty heavy focus on that, but there was a fiscal analysis that was based on the projections of revenue and expenses that GRTC's board have been looking at over the last year and incorporating the decision-making that board has had over the last year with regard to its policy commitments to zero fare. We also, as part of that project, did a little bit of, I'll call it field work by setting up interviews with local philanthropic and corporate philanthropy representatives to understand what their appetite might be to participate in funding for continuation and expansion of transit in the region. No, Mr. Moyer, that's something that you and I have talked about a little bit before. And so this was a little bit of a temperature check. Many of you that are involved in probably like the nonprofit sector are familiar when a nonprofit's contemplating a big capital raise. They do some inquiries out in the community to kind of understand whether or not that's going to generate the goal. I can tell you that those leaders from both corporate and philanthropic community organizations around our region are very much interested and see the value of the transit service in our region, particularly as the conversation has moved to a more regional conversation. Really excited about the news of service that has launched through microtransit and with the support of other jurisdictions and bringing in transit provider partners to be able to look at that. Our private philanthropic organizations are seeing a much larger demand among certain populations, senior citizens in particular, about thinking about isolation and how to combat that, and to think about how to create opportunities for seniors to move about the region, not just for healthcare and essential services like groceries and things like that, but actually just maintaining socialization and connectivity into the community. So lots of interest in that. I will say, we didn't get as much interest in the part of who would like to write a check. You may not be surprised by that. But we got some really helpful insights, and we're working on packaging the compilation of these two reports to be able to provide. And the third component of the piece was really to be able to, I'll say, create some content that we can use with our transit providers to really demystify what transit, how transit operates in the region, the different types of services that are available and how they kind of fit together. And so we're internally working on how to take the findings that we have from this current fiscal year and move them forward, and from last fiscal year, and how to move them forward. But I think this effort, combined with the 2 years ago effort now with the rural transit analysis, creates a good opportunity for us to continue the conversation about what regional transit service looks like across the region. So just wanted to give you an update about that. We are still kind of actively looking at how we can put these pieces together and have some good inquiries out, I'll say, about how to get some financial support to continue that work. So I'll just flag again, there's going to be an opportunity in September for both the Plan RVA Commission and the TPO to participate in this discussion about the scenarios for transit. That intentionality, Mr. Moore, that you talked about in the executive committee really resonated with me. And so we'll think about how to sort of structure those conversations in a way that promote that intentionality. But as a reminder, the TPO meeting is the second week of September. We did a flop to accommodate schedule. So the TPO meets on September 10th and the commission meets on September 3rd. If you're on both boards, just come at 9:30. You'll be fine. You'll be in the right place. But just as a reminder, we've swapped that traditional schedule. So that'll be, the calendar invites are out, I believe, already and everything like that. So they should be pushed to your calendar, but just wanted to alert you to that. And I think unless there are questions, I'll stop there.
Any questions for Michelle? Well, then the next thing we have is chair report and member comments. The only thing I can get a little, we get to advertise and see. New Kent, we started racing This past week, that's not on 64, that's at Colonial Downs. So the track is open Thursday through Sunday. And any other comments from the members?
Mr. Chairman, this is,
Yes.
just advising, a former member of our board, passed away recently, and I don't know that Ms. Lascolette was terribly active with, RRTPO, but, we miss her. She was 4'11", but you'd think she was 14'10". I mean, she was just a real dynamo, and she was part of the board that helped Goochland navigate some opportunistic times, challenging times. So I'm just sharing that with folks to know that she was a great public servant. Goochland benefited from her efforts, and I already miss her. So
Sorry for
sharing
Goochland's
that.
loss. Thank you. Anybody else? Very good. I don't have anything else. Next meeting is, Ms. Schickel mentioned, is September 10th, 9:30, here in the boardroom. Do I have a motion? So moved. So moved.
Second.
We have 1 second. I have a lot of seconds on that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you for everybody coming out. We can have a safe 4th. They're good.